Hello, hello, everybody. Here we are, next film in our sequence. This film is called Top Hat. It's from 1935. You start to see that films are getting a little bit cleaner, a little bit more storytelling and character development and plot driven than previous films. We're starting to figure out kind of the language of cinema here by 1935. And this is a different genre. This is a new genre that's just developing close to this time. The director is a guy named Mark Sandrich, and the genre is the dance musical. All right, so the dance musical is a new thing-ish at this time, 1935. It's still in its infancy, and we still see films made like this today, right? Like just a few years ago, we had a big one called La La Land, which was actually paying homage to those kind of classic musicals back in the day, right? So the synopsis here is it's kind of a simple mistaken identity plot type film. You have this woman who's wealthy. Her name is Dale Tremont, and she's on holiday in Europe. I think she's visiting like London and Venice, it says here. She meets a guy named Jerry Travers, and she assumes this American entertainer is the husband of her friend Madge. So she never met Madge's husband, and for some reason she thinks that Jerry Travers is the husband. But Madge is actually married to the wife of Travers's business partner or business manager, and his name is Horace Hardwick. That's actually Madge's husband. So there's a mistaken identity thing going on there. And then the other thing that complicates the relationship in the movie is Dale has this kind of jealous suitor that's kind of pursuing her in the film, and his name is Badini. And his motto is, for the woman the kiss, for the man the sword. So you can see where that would cause issues and problems for maybe Travers along the way. So check all that out as you go. The film is starring this very classic pairing of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. They did several films together over the course of their time in Hollywood. They also did plenty of work away from each other as well. But this is a pretty classic pairing of these two. So you'll kind of see their kind of chemistry on screen. In 1935, what's going on in the United States? Okay, so in 1935, we are still pretty headlong into the Great Depression. So things in the United States aren't the greatest, right? Like we're in a pretty dark time in our U.S. history, especially financially. There are things starting to happen in Europe that are going to turn into what is World War II. So that stuff is starting to happen. Nazi Germany, and some things that Italy's doing, and there's some stuff going on there that is pretty dark and leading towards war. And then again, we have the great like Dust Bowl area in the Midwest, which we actually watch a film, I think, about that later on. But we're in this pretty dark time, right? So people go to movies to get away from it and to get a little bit of entertainment, and these films are meant to do that. Okay, so Fred Astaire believed that the movie dance number should be shot in unbroken takes that ran as long as possible. So he wanted these long takes that just where you got to see the whole dance and you got to feel the whole thing, and it all played out without editing. Okay, that was kind of his philosophy. And Ginger Rogers was not a trained dancer, so there was a little conflict there between the two of them because she, didn't quite have it all down to the point where she could do it in one swell take at first, right? But ultimately, they were a good pairing. They were pretty good friends. They were good friends, and the remainder of their lives, and it all worked out. But there was some kind of tension early on because, again, she wasn't as committed to the dance. She was more committed to the story and the character and the plot line, and thought of these dance numbers as extra, and he was more about the dance numbers. So Fred Astaire is accredited with inventing the musical film, right? So this is his baby. Like this genre is accredited to him and what he did. And Top Hat is the most successful of the 9 Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers pairings. So I think this falls somewhere between 3 and 5 in their kind of collaboration history. They kind of separated out, and Ginger Rogers actually went into more dramatic. Won an Academy Award for a dramatic role later on, and she wanted to be that style of actor, but the studios did pair her, and they were very successful financially, so they did come together 9 different times to make a movie. In these films, the musical dance films, right? The musical dance is the expressive element in this type of film. Okay, so usually the dance is a metaphor for character development, courtship, love, and sex. So dance is how they meet, how they fall in love. Dance communicates emotion between the men and the women on screen. So that's something you really want to look out for, is this new type of communication that's happening in this piece of cinema. Okay, so what are we looking for, right? So in the film, there are several dance numbers. Okay, and what I want you to kind of be paying attention to is how the dance number represents the relationship on screen happening in the dance number. So you have a dance number between Jerry and Horace, and it's called No Strings. So kind of try to get a sense of what that dance is about. What are they saying? What are they talking? What are they thinking about when it comes to that dance number? And then you have a few that are with Jerry and Dale, and this is the main party or pairing in the film. Okay, the first one called "Isn't This a Lovely Day?" So kind of see where they are in their relationship and how this dance number speaks to it, and how closely they dance together will also kind of tell you where they are in their relationship. Jerry and Dale, Cheek to Cheek. That's a pretty good number. The evolution of their relationship is moving forward, so you can see the pairing and how they dance there is different than Isn't It a Lovely Day? And then Jerry and Dale in the Piccolino. So check out those 4 dances. Fred Astaire gets slapped several times, I believe. I can't remember how many times. And see if you can kind of pull out the reason why. Like, why does he keep getting slapped after these dance numbers? So check that out. This is a pretty interesting film. It should be fun. It's a little bit more lighthearted. And again, it does have that storyline and plot-driven, character-driven kind of element, more so than some of the other ones, because we are, again, developing this cinema language, and we're starting to get a little bit better at it by this point. So hopefully you enjoyed the film. Let me know if you got any questions.